Smokey House in Danby is launching a new program and taking its work on forestry and land management to a new level with its Farm and Forest Living Lab. The famed steward of nearly 5,000 acres of bucolic countryside has been an educational center as well as a steward of its easement-protected countryside. The Living Lab will continue those works and will be emphasizing long-term partnerships and cross-disciplinary collaboration. On Friday, August 11th, Smokey House held a party to get the new show on the road, and the guests were gathering when we had a chance to ask the program director of the Living Lab, Walker Kamek, to tell us more about it.
The Living Lab is our new keystone program here at Smokey House. So really everything going on at Smokey House will be filtered through the Living Lab. And the concept is really to use this landscape that we have, that's this incredible 5,000 acre landscape, to conduct applied research in farming and forestry. And in simplest terms, applied research is research that's focused on solving real world problems, problems that are out in the world. So the work that we'll be doing is really focused on doing research that is grounded in this place, on this landscape, that is focused on solving and providing practical solutions that will really allow farmers and foresters and other land managers in our region to continue to steward their landscapes far into the future. Because it's really hard being a farmer. This is of course front of mind for all of us with this past month's really devastating flooding. And as this kind of scrappy nonprofit that's been here for a while and has this incredible land resource, we really feel like we can work in collaboration with land managers in the region to basically use this landscape to set up experiments and trials that will help them figure out what practices they might be interested in adopting that they otherwise can't really take on the risk to experiment with themselves. So really what we're imagining is in a couple of years, if you look out across this landscape that we have here, say from the top of Dorset Peak, you'll really see a mosaic of different land-based experiments, all of which different farmers and foresters and researchers and students, which I'll talk about in a second, will have played a really intimate role in designing and implementing. And then those same groups will be able to come back here and have really open and honest dialogue about the results of those experiments and how they might impact their own practices outside of Smokey House. So the applied research is sort of the one arm of this new program, the Living Lab. The other arm of it is it really gives us the platform to continue the legacy of place-based, meaningful youth education here in Danby far into the future. So all of these research projects that we'll have going will basically provide the structure, the scaffolding by which young people from Danby and Rutland and all the other surrounding towns, particularly those young people that wouldn't necessarily otherwise have these opportunities, will be able to come to Smokey House and learn about farming and forestry and climate change and the scientific process. And they won't just be learning, but they'll be participating in that process. So they'll be going out into our forests and collecting data for long-term forest monitoring studies, or they'll be building infrastructure for crop trials with our farmers out in our fields, or they'll be tracking, wildlife movement across our landscape through citizen science initiatives. And by working alongside those farmers and the foresters and the researchers leading that work, these young people will form a meaningful relationship with this place, but will also really be connected to the vast world outside of Smokey House through the people that are working hard to, steward that world and protect that world. So we're really excited. It also, all of this work is really dependent on the participation of the people around us. So we're really excited to work alongside, the broader Southwestern Vermont community in this work. So stay tuned, and we're excited to get it all going.
We also spotted Ben Holmes, the interim executive director of Smokey House, and heard more from him.
The wonderful thing that we're doing is living into the history of Smokey House, which is 50 years old, and bringing this back into kind of a large public purpose. This beautiful landscape. There's 5,000 acres here, 4,000 of forest and 1,000 acres of farmland, and we're busy bringing it back up into the world. The idea of the Living Lab is to confront some of the major issues of our time by trialing new experimental ideas here for agriculture and forestry. This resource is so perfect for studying the effects of climate change, but also the ways in which we can live with it. This has a huge elevation range. This property does, so we have different climates right here on the property that we can live into and see what's happening at those various levels.
Smokey House had its roots in education, with a focus on bringing disadvantaged youth from the cities up to the countryside to learn about farming and agriculture. Those programs also brought in local youngsters as well. More recently, climate change and its mitigation have been part of its mission. That's along with its maple syrup operation, farm fresh vegetables for sale, and opportunities to pick your own blueberries. Plus, the viewshed is pretty dramatic as well. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.